Okay, hello everyone. Here is another video, and in this video, we're going to be talking about how to design a correlational study. All right, so in this, okay, yeah, let's dive straight into the question now. Dr. Emily Carter is interested in investigating the relationship between stress levels and academic performance in university students. Design a correlational study to test the hypothesis. All right, so this is a correlational study, and it is very different, okay, from an experiment. Reason being that in an experiment you manipulate the high V and you try to see how much that can affect the dv. All right, but in a correlational study, okay, in an experimental study, that's what you do. You manipulate the iv and you try to affect the dv with that. Okay, but in a correlational study now, you only measure the level of the two variables. Okay, you only have variable one and variable two. You measure their levels, and then you see if an increased level of this is also showing an increased level of this, or increase in this is leading to a decrease in this. All right, it's not necessarily leading, just what you can see, what you can observe in the scores or grades, right? Now, paragraph one, you're going to introduce your variables. Variable one, although in correlation there are no variable manipulated, the study measures this, all right, which will be operationalized using a standardized stress questionnaire, stress level. You're going to use something to measure that. So you can outline your paragraph by stating your your variable one, and how you are going to quantify it. Very important, which is your operational definition. All right. Now, variable two is the academic performance. Now, what do you mean by academic performance? It can be a score, right? It's measured by the student grade point average. That is GPA. Okay, if you're a university student, you might understand GPA better. All right. Or maybe you give them a test to measure it. That depends on how you want to go about it. Okay. Now, paragraph two, we have a method and procedure. Okay, sample. How you're going to gather the sample? A sample of 100 university student. All right. Draw from this. Okay. Random sampling. Basically, you can use any sampling method. That depends on you. Opportunity sampling is another way. Okay. If you're using random sampling, actually, it's also nice if you can discuss how you will go about randomizing that. Okay. Maybe any student that peak a particular number or something. Okay, that depends on you. Okay, if you use opportunity sample, I think that is the safest, right? Now, data collection. All right, stress will be measured via a validated questionnaire and academic performance days. All right, so ethical consideration, informed consent will be given, confidentiality will also be noted, since they are making mention of their grades. Okay, you might want to consider adding confidentiality. Okay, you can also respect privacy, but privacy might not necessarily be important for you. Okay, just include any ethical consideration that is related to your study. Now, paragraph four, method of analysis, statistical data. Okay, you can use a correlation coefficient, okay, to assess the strength and direction of the relationship between stress level and academic performance. This is actually what they use mostly in the correlational study. However, for AS level and A level, you can just simply go with maybe just calculating the mean. Okay, you calculate the mean and then you discuss that, and you tabulate it, and you use a scatter graph. Okay, you use a scatter graph to display the data. All right, now controls of confounding variables, record additional data, e.g. age, social, or to statistically control for possible confounding variables. Okay, so this is not really necessary anyway. Okay, now the model response, introduction of variables. Dr. Amy Carter's study aims to examine the relationship between stress level and academic performance in university. So you try to link ideas together. In this correlational study, stress level are measured as this, okay, such as this, okay, while this measured as this and this. All right, you explain that. Now, method and procedure. The random sample of this will be selected, okay, and represent to ensure this, and okay, you can justify the reason for that, thereby enhancing external validity. But even if you have to talk about maybe a brief of the strength, don't make it too much, okay, because you're not actually evaluating, you're just trying to explain the procedure you're going to follow. And maybe you might want to say the reason for saying some of the procedure. Okay, now participant will be asked to complete a validated this, okay, in a standardized and quiet room within the university premises. So just be realistic as much as possible. Simultaneously, the academic performance data will be obtained either from official academic days, okay, or maybe you want to do a test for them. So that depends on how you want to go about it. All right, now ethical consideration. Given the sensitive nature of assessing stress and academic performance, you can consider this and other things, and also give them right to withdraw. That depends on you. Okay. Additionally, participants will be debriefed at the end of the study and provided with resources for stress management if required. You can also see, okay, additionally, they will be given extra course credit. Okay, that depends on you. So, which means you would have spoken with the school administration and the teacher to ensure that that is actually put into consideration. Okay, now method of analysis. The quantitative data obtained from the stress questionnaire and academic performance record will be analyzed using correlation coefficient. Okay, just keep this word in mind. Okay, this the inferential statistics now will determine the strength. Okay, the interpretation of that now will determine the strength and direction of the relationship between the stress level and the academic performance. Okay, testing the hypothesis that higher stress is this. Okay, actually, to account for this, such as the all right. So this last data I just included it for possible situation, but it's not necessary. Okay, so you can go ahead and explain how this relates to maybe displaying it in a scatter graph, okay, to measure which variable goes high and which variable is low. Okay, so you use inferential statistics to interpret the relationship between the variables, so you can end there. Okay, I added this in a situation where if a question asks you to explain that one variable actually is higher and then one variable is low, okay, if the question actually states that, then you might want to increase this, okay, that okay in a case where, or maybe focusing on the question that explained that, okay, higher stress level is associated with lower academic performance. All right, if the question says you should show that, then you can now include it in your method of analysis there. To account for potential confounding variables such as age and socioeconomic status and the year of study, these factors will be recorded and, if necessary, statistically controlled using multiple regression analysis. All right, so you can try to control that, you can leave that, that depends on you. Okay, so any other idea that comes to your mind so far, it is logical and it goes well with the question, it is good and fine. Okay, so that is it. I hope this is actually helpful. All right, I wish you all the best in your study. Okay, goodbye.